Hello friends, in the series on the income tax cases, the case which we will discuss today is Sunil Kumar Sharma versus DCIT and others. This case has been reported in 448 ITR at page number 485 and the matter has been decided by Honorable Karnataka High Court. Friends, in this case, the case of the assessee was taken to the writ court by the assessee on the basis that the principles of natural justice has not been followed. We have seen in the recent past that in the assessment proceedings of income tax, there is a great lapse for following the procedures by the department, and on the basis of principle of natural justice, it can be said that these principles are now become outdated and they are not in fashion in the income tax department, meaning thereby that they do not follow the principle of natural justice. In this case, the court allowed the writ petition of the assessee against the order under section 153C by saying that the writ can be allowed where the principles of natural justice are not being followed. In this case, the assessee case was centralized under section 127 without giving an opportunity to the assessee. So the court said that the mandate of section 127 is that you have to give a hearing or the opportunity to the assessee to explain his case, why his case should not be transferred under section 127. But this was not done in the present case. So the court said that the assessment which has been done after the transfer of the case is not valid. Apart from that, in this case, there was a search on the assessee, but his assessment was done under section 153C, which is done for the assessees which are not the searched parties, but those parties whose documents are found in the search of a party. Meaning thereby that if in the search of, for example, A assessee, the documents of B are also found. So the assessment of A can be done under section 153A and the assessment of B can be done under section 153C. So in this particular case, the assessment should have been done under section 153A and not 153C. So there was jurisdictional error on the part of the department. Thirdly, in this case, the much reliance was done on the loose papers, loose sheets, which cannot be termed as books of accounts, as explained by the various courts in various decisions. The court said that books ordinarily means a collection of sheets of paper or other material, blank, written or printed, fastened or bound together so as to form a material whole. So if we read this line, by reading this line, the one conclusion comes that it should be in some hardbound manner. Hardbound can be in a spiral binding also. But if the sheets are loose, that cannot be only relied for making the additions in the hands of the assessee. Apart from that, the court said that loose sheets or scraps of paper cannot be termed as books, for they can easily be detached and replaced. In this particular case, section 34 of the Evidence Act is also discussed. I am just reading the text of section 34 of the Evidence Act, which is very relevant. Section 34 says that section 34 of the Evidence Act 1872 provides that entries in books of accounts regularly kept in the course of business are relevant whenever they refer to a matter into which the court has to inquire. But such a statement shall not alone be sufficient evidence to charge any person with liability. Meaning thereby that books of accounts are very important for the fiscal laws, but in the absence of any corroborative evidence or In the absence of any relevant material, the additions cannot be made only on the basis of the books of accounts. So friends, this case is very important in dealing with the assessments in which there is a search matter. First of all, we have to see that whether it is a searched party or other than the searched party. You have to see that before transfer of the case, a proper opportunity has been given to you or not, or what is the relevant material which is relied on by the department. Thank you, friends.